In this video, we will look at the process of accessing a website over the internet. So let's start by looking at the exam question. Describe the role of the following terms when a user accesses a website. So in our table, we have our terms on the left that you should be aware of and their definitions in red ink. Again, I've used red ink to make it easier for pupils to read ahead when it comes to their revision. So the definition of a client is a device that is accessing the website itself. So this could be a computer such as a laptop or a desktop computer, a smartphone, smart TVs, games consoles that have internet browsers built into them. So there's some examples. And then we have the URL, which stands for Uniform Resource Locator, more commonly known as a website address, such as bbc.co.uk. The web server itself is the computer that is hosting the website. So what that means is it's the computer that stores all of the contents of that website, all of its individual pages, all of the text, all of the images, all of the links that you would commonly associate with a web page on that web server device. So generally they will be on 24/7. So when clients access to them, they can retrieve the web page contents and then look at the contents using their browser. That moves us on to DNS. So domain name system, that runs on a domain name server. So the way this works is quite simple. When a client types in a website such as bbc.co.uk, or its URL is passed to the DNS. The DNS has a table and it looks for that URL address. When it finds it, or if it finds it, it will then return the IP address back to the client. If it doesn't find it, then in simple terms, it will ask other DNSs if they have an entry for that URL and then pass that IP address back to the client. IP address, or Internet Protocol address, is a unique number that uniquely identifies a computer on the internet. So part of that number will identify which network it's connected to, and part of that number will tell you which node within that network you are communicating with. So in essence, it's a unique number that helps you identify the location of that computer so you can communicate with it across the internet. Now, the version of Internet Protocol you need to be aware of is IP version 4. There is an IP version 6 which we won't address in this video. So IP version 4 is made of 4 groups of digits. Now each group of digits has a range of 0 to 255. So in other words, it's a 1 byte number. And each of those groups of numbers is separated with a full stop. So now let's try to use each of those terms in a paragraph describing the process of accessing a website. So our exam question states, use each of the terms to describe the process of accessing a website. So the user starts a browser such as Safari on a client device, let's say an iPhone. The user then enters the URL or the Uniform Resource Locator such as bbc.co.uk. That's then passed to the domain name server, which will look for that URL address in its table. And if it finds it, it will give the client the IP address for that web server. That means the client device can send a request to the web server which is hosting the website, and that will then allow the website contents, the web page, its images, its texts, to be transmitted back to the client for it to be rendered on the screen using their browser. So the format of an IP address using version 4 uses 4 groups of digits. Each group of digits or numbers has a range of 0 to 255. So that means each group would be taking up 1 byte, and that each group would also be separated with a full stop.